joined today by senior right guard Anthony Pruitt and senior punter and kicker Anthony Melchior. Coach.
All right. Again, not what we wanted, not the performance that we wanted. I tip my hats off to Toledo and their staff. A very good football team. Beat us in all three phases of the game, offensively, defensively, and special units. Not by any means did we play our best. So when you don't play your best against a quality opponent, it doesn't turn out, very well. So, but on the UMass, we talked about it this morning. We moved on to UMass this morning. Very good opponent. For us, these guys have, I call it battle tested, because you look at their schedule, and they've had a tough road with Colorado, Temple, and Notre Dame, and then starting the league with Bowling Green, on the road. So these guys have, you look at their experience, very senior laden team, a lot of experience on the team. They got a graduate quarterback. Coach Whipple does a good job with the offense. They're putting a ton of points on the board, and their defense is playing well enough. They know all they need is a couple stops, and their offense can put a bunch of points on the board and try to outscore people. So it's going to be a tough test for, both sides of the ball, but our defense is going to have to do a good job of controlling their offense, and then we're going to have to make sure that we move the ball and control the clock and put points on the board.
Coach, all season you've talked a lot about penalties. How in this game did penalties really affect what you guys were trying to do?
We went into it and we talked about when you playing really good teams, the one thing that you can't do is you can't have a penalty that kills your drive, and you can't have a penalty that extends their drive. And that's exactly what we did. We kind of did the opposite. There was a couple times on third down that we were off the field and we got, a penalty, and then they went on to score. So those are things, again, that I think I said after the game that we didn't do a very good job on with the penalties. We got to do a better job with penalties in crucial situations.
How do you start to work on doing a better job with the penalties?
It's just discipline. It's just, there's certain ones that you sit there. Holding is, they can call holding every play if they really wanted to on both sides of the ball. And those aren't the ones. It's the discipline ones of the late hits, the personal fouls, the roughing the passer, all those. We just got to do a better job of being a little bit more disciplined.
Coach, after you had already said last week that Toledo was probably your toughest opponent so far, and you mentioned how good they looked. After seeing them up close, do you think that Toledo is a team that could possibly run the table and maybe get to one of those 5 or 6 bowl games?
Yeah, I think they have the talent. I think they definitely have the talent to do it if it happens. They got to play, at a high level week in and week out. But they definitely have the talent to do it.
Is this one, some of these losses you've had real tough, hard, games to the end. This one a little easier to bounce back from because, it was kind of a game you didn't, they're number 24, they beat you just move on type thing.
I don't think it's ever that, I think, when you play your best and that happens, I think it's a little bit easier to move on, and we didn't play our best, and again, when you don't play your best against quality, this is what happens. But we move on every, Monday morning, regardless of it. But it's not just because it was Toledo and they were ranked 24. It really didn't matter. We just didn't play our best, football. And if our best wasn't good enough, those are the ones you sit there and say, hey, man, they were just better than you. They're a good football team, but, again, could we have played better? Yes, could have.
Why eventually did you decide to go with Bolus in the first half and then for all the second half at quarterback?
We felt that we needed a change. Felt that we needed just a jolt, with the offense, and he got in there and moved the ball for us a little bit and just gives us an extra, just something different, and both of those guys have been playing for us. Both of those guys have been preparing for both of us. We haven't made a decision on moving forward on what we're going to do, but both of those guys will probably play for us in the future.
So So to be clear, you're not sure yet who the starter will be against UMass, or will that be Collins still?
Of course not. I don't know yet. Nope. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you right now.
Could we consider it an open competition going into the week?
There's no doubt. Yeah, it definitely is an open competition in the week, and both of those guys will. I mean, there really won't be any different on how they share reps. I mean, it's just what they've been doing all year, and we'll make a decision, later in the week on who gives us the best chance to win
Will that decision be made public, or are you just
on Saturday.
on Saturday? just to be clear.
Not saying he'll be named the starter again, I don't know, but when he comes into the game, what does George give you that Colin necessarily doesn't?
I don't think it's anything that they don't give us. I think both of those guys are both capable. Again, there's a lot of things that go into it that you just don't feel that, it's going the way it should, and you put the other guy in. I mean, the very thing could happen, flip, that George is out there and we don't feel that it's going the right way, and you put Colin in for a different. So there's nothing in particular that you sit there and you point your finger on. It's just, one of those things that you sit there and feel that you need to make a change.
How do you expect Colin to react going from being the starter to now it's kind of in doubt whether he's going to start the game or not?
Colin's a team guy, so Colin wants what's best for the team, and he'll handle it like a professional. He'll handle it like a, he'll handle it great, and we don't. Again, if you sit there and I know he'll do this, he'll prepare like he normally prepares, and he'll be ready to roll and be ready to go.
Anthony, being a special teams guy, Ryan Siebert, who doesn't get in the game that often, comes in and makes a huge play. What was the team's reaction for him at the time?
I mean, it was great. So that's a second play that Siebert has made this year on special teams, believe it or not, both on the same unit, our punt return unit. I know against Delaware State, he blocked a punt, and then this week, ran the ball down, and ended up falling on it, scoring a touchdown for us. I think that play just kind of symbolized that you can't take those special teams plays off, and because things like that happen. I mean, that was a huge boost going into the next drive and the next series. But we just got to continue to get give our best effort, and so plays like that can happen more often. And I think that we're going to keep working on special teams as a whole to get better at that.
Anthony, just from a lineman's perspective coming into the week with the quarterback situation, is that something you guys really, is it in your mind at all, or you just kind of keep plowing away?
Yeah, we just keep plowing away and keep going at it, go to practice, and practice like it's just the same quarterback back there.
Just offensively a little inconsistent this year, obviously. And you just kind of, from your angle again as a lineman, what do you see out there? What do you think's missing? What do you think is kind of keeping you guys back?
We just really just come to practice and just keep working at it. We really don't try to worry about anything else, but just keep getting better.
Coach, last week you talked about how it was important to dial up pressure in order to get your defense going. Do you think that was kind of the big thing that really hurt you guys defensively against Toledo?
No, not really. We didn't pressure any more or pressure any less than what we've done normally. Again, they're very difficult because they spread you out and they can nickel and dime you, and then you sit there and you play coverage and they gas you in the run. But you look at the numbers are a little bit skewed. You got 88 yards on one play, and you take that one play away, then they're right around where you've been, average-wise. But we didn't tackle very well, in space, and against a team like that, you got to do a good job of tackling. So we didn't tackle very well. That was a lot of, the big plays that happened, against us. And, again, you get exposed. You play against a good team like that, you get exposed. And when you miss one tackle and there's only one guy there to make the tackle, your other guys are coming, but they spread you out so much that you miss one tackle and it's a big play.
Anthony, I mean, obviously huge expectations for you coming into the year. How do you kind of feel things have gone so far individually?
Individually, I'm really not where I want to be right now, average-wise. But like I had said at the, preseason, I think I've been hitting the ball well these past couple weeks, trying to get them in the air really high. Not really worried so much about distance, worried more about hang time, so the returner can fair catch it, and we go down and hopefully because of my hang time eliminate those some of those big plays that happened last week, those big returns. A fair catch eliminates all that. So that's kind of my goal from here on out is to try and worry less about distance, more about height, and completely eliminate those huge plays that we've been getting gashed on from time to time. And like I said, our punt team especially, we'll get back, we'll get back at practice tomorrow and we'll work on that and try and be the best punt unit in the MAC, because we're we still got a long way to go and we're still working on that to achieve that goal.
Coach, what can you tell us about Antoine Dixon after leaving the game for the injury last week?
He's day to day.
Was he evaluated for concussion?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any results from that?
Again, that's a process with that concussion thing. I don't know if it's that much of as if that's an issue, with it. I think he's fine that way. But we'll see. That's one of those things that we're going to make sure that we do the right thing for him, first. But so, he was fine yesterday. We'll see how he is today and see how he is later in the week.
Shoulder was the other thing.
Yeah.
Okay. How about several other guys went out? Any updates on?
Not as far as being in or out, right now. Again, everyone checked in yesterday, and we'll see how they progress during the week. But nothing right now.
Anthony, you guys rank in the top 10 in the nation right now for the least amount of sacks allowed. Has that kind of been a point of pride for you guys? And is there anything maybe you've done differently this year?
We just try to keep it the same and try to keep that ball rolling. But I feel like as an O-line, we pride that we make sure that we keep our quarterback protected. So that's good to hear. I didn't even know that.
Paul, just kind of looking at the league and where it is now, and just, you look at these scores from last week, everybody's putting up huge points. Obviously, you guys are at the low end of that. I mean, do you kind of look at that as like, okay, we've got to get more explosive offensively, or is it more like, okay, well, we've got our way that we can win games? We're okay in that regard.
Yeah, I think we definitely can win games. Again, it comes with experience, comes with a lot of different things on what you're doing. But we have the capability to put points on the board. We just haven't, and there's been a lot of different reasons why. We've shot ourselves in the foot, and other reasons. But we have the capability of doing it, and we're going to have to do it. But we also going to have to play, good defense and, our more experiences on the defense. We got to create turnovers to get our offense in better situations to put points on the board. We can't get down, by a lot of points, because that takes us out of who we are and what we do. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but we have the capability to do it. We just got to do it. It still comes down to execution. Got to execute.
Speaking of some of the big offenses in the MAC, you guys play one of them this week against UMass. Just tell me a little bit about what you've seen already on tape on UMass's offense.
They have a lot of different personnel groups, and I wouldn't say a lot. They'll go from 11 personnel and they'll put a bigger tackle in there to run the football. They have Coach Whipple is a pro guy, so You'll see some 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. You'll see a fullback, which is almost extinct, in college football today. So you'll see a little bit more of the traditional, but then they'll go in 10 personnel with 4 wides and show up in empty. So you'll see it all, and that's always difficult. A lot of times, you only see 1 or 2 personnel groups, in this day and age in college football. Now you play a team that has it all. So there's a lot of it that you haven't practiced, in a long period of time. You try to hit it in preseason camp, but you haven't seen it in the 12 and 21 personnels in a lot. So they have the ability to put a lot of different formations. They have the ability to isolate, their wide out, which is really, really good. So it's going to be a challenge for us to be sound, but be simple, but have enough to make sure that we can attack all different formations that they give you.
They've had some pretty good quarterback play as well. Does that surprise you at all, given Coach Whipple's background?
No, not at all. And that's his baby, and that's what he takes pride in. And they always will play well. They always will. He does a good job of not letting them lose the game. And that's the one thing that they have done. Even when they get down, they just still continually just run their offense and do what they do. Because they know all they need is a couple stops and they can put points on the board.
Talk a little more about Sharp, the wide out. He had a real good year last year, and he's picking it right up this year.
Yeah,
There's
he's
something special about him.
He's big. He's got size on him, but he can run. And again, just with how they isolate him, they get in those compact, formations in 12 and 21, and if you don't do a good job of loading the box, he's out there by himself and he makes one person miss or he runs by him. Does a good job of tracking the ball and doing all that. So, that's always an issue of what, choose your poison. And then you sit there and you put, a guy over top of him and they run the football, on you. But he's a special. He's one of the better ones in the league that you have to know where he is at all times.
Both players, with this being the midway point of the season, you've been going at it for a while. You've been around. Is there anything you do or say to maybe some of the younger guys at this point in the year to keep them steered in the right direction?
One thing I do, I tell all the dudes on the team to make sure that they go to class because we plan on going to a bowl game, so they got to be eligible for that bowl game. So that's one thing I tell the younger dudes.
I think the biggest message to preach to the younger guys is you just got to keep fighting. I mean you just got to pack it up and go back to work the next day. You can't really dwell on these on a loss, and like we said, we still have half a season to go. Still a lot of season left. Still we're still able to reach our goals that we set for ourselves, and I think the biggest thing for those young guys is they just gotta come back to work, and we gotta keep fighting because we can still reach in our goals and do what we want to do.
And that being said, this is a pretty pivotal game swing wise. 3-4, 2-1 if you win. Just kind of talk about that, kind of setting up the rest of the year, basically.
Yeah, we talked this morning, and we talked about it, you're halfway through, and really the overall doesn't matter. You're 1-1. You're 1-1 in the league, but we've left ourselves with little room for error, so doesn't put any extra pressure on us. We're not asking you to do extra or do this or do that, because that's usually when you screw it up, but that's real. You got little room for error. But all you can do is just continue to go to work, make sure that you're doing the things to prepare like crazy, and go out there and play your best football. And if it's good enough, it's good enough. If it's not, then it's not. But we just got to make sure that we're playing our best football.
Coach, then you have a bunch of divisional games as well coming up. Talk about pivotal there as well. And talk about how pivotal it is to really show the progress that your team's had in the next couple games.
Yeah, again, it goes back to, again, it's a process, it's a culture you're trying to build, it's a program you're trying to build. There's a lot of things that go into that you want to make sure that you're building on, and this is a part of it. This is one part of it that you just want to come out of it on Saturday and say that you played good football, that you played your best. And again, if your best is good enough, then it's good enough. If it's not, then it's not. But that's the ones that you don't sleep on, that you know that you didn't play your best and you had opportunities to win the game and you could have won the game and this and that. Those are the ones that you lose sleep on. But this is a process that we just got to make sure that we prepare like crazy and that we're playing our best football on Saturdays.
Anything else?
Just one more real quick,
Yeah.
just about the, this game in particular
Yeah.
coming in. Obviously, they'd love to get you in a shootout. Obviously, you'd like to control pace a little bit more. Just kind of talk about that kind of give and take there.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to them. I know they look at it, their defense versus our offense. This is one that they can, feel really good about, that they get 3 or 4 stops and they put points on the board and they can jump out early. Then they can sit there and control the rest of the game. So it's going to be important that we control it and that we can put points on the board. And then the flip side of it, if we do a good job, we got to do a good job with their offense and not letting them get big plays and hold on to the football. Third down situations, we got to get off the field and we got to create takeaways, to put our offense in position, to score. So that's going to be the telltale, really, of it, like every game. But you know what I'm saying? It's going to be the telltale of whoever on the least experienced side of the ball has success.
Set?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.